Hello everyone, let's solve the Leetcode problem number 73, set matrix zeros. So what the question says, given an m into n integer matrix. So here in the example you can see matrix, if an element is set to 0, set its entire row and column to zeros. So if the element is set to 0, then we have to set the entire row and column of the 0 to 0. So you must do it in place. So we have to do it in place. We shouldn't consider extra this thing. I mean one more matrix, right? I mean new array in my opinion. So in the example 1, let's come to example 1, 1 1 1 1 0 1. So here 0 is there. We are setting this entire row to 0 and also entire column to 0. It will be 1 0 1 0 0 and 1 0 1. So yeah, that's what they have shown here, right? The output will be 1 0 1 0 0 and 1 0 1. So same thing goes with the example 2 as well. So let's try writing the code and I'll explain with the example 1. You can check for the example 2 in the same way. So what I'll do, first let's get the number of rows just give me a second. Initially what we will do, let's initialize an empty array to store the position of the 0 element. So what I'll do, I'll just call this one, just name the variable 0 position. This I'll just set this one to empty array. Next, let's loop through the matrix to find all the positions of the zeros. So we will loop through the matrix to find all the position of the zeros. So how can we do that? Let's make use of the for loop. Let I equals 0, I less than length of the matrix, simple. Next, another for loop, well 0. This is for the column, right? So 0 len j plus. This is fair. Next, what we will do, if the current element is 0, then we will store its position as pair, nothing but the row and column in 0's position. How can we do that? For that, I'll just make use of the if condition, if matrix of I, j, if it is equal to 0, then what we can do, we can store its position as a pair. How can we write that? 0 position, the variable name that we have took, and push of I and j, nothing but rows and columns. Nothing but the pair, right? We are storing its position as a pair, row, column in the 0 position. So next what we will do, let's loop through the stored positions and set entire rows and columns to 0. That's what we have to do, right? We have to, here, first we have to find where the zeros are in the matrix. Then we have to set the entire row and the column to 0. That's what we have to do. So how can we write here? Here we are looping through the stored position and we'll set the entire rows and columns to 0. How can we write in the code? So we'll just make use of the for loop. I'll just give let I equals 0, 0 dot len I plus. This is one thing. We are iterating over the each stored 0 position. So wherever there is 0, we are iterating over the each stored 0 position. Then we will destructure the position into row and column variable. So for destructuring, we know how to destructure in JavaScript, right? So row and column I'll take. Then iterated value of the 0 position, nothing but 0 post variable we have to position of I. So this is fine. Next, after doing this, what we will do, we will set the entire column of the current 0 to 0. First we are setting the column, then we will set the rows to 0. First, now let's set the entire column of the current column of the current 0 to 0. For that, I'll again make use of the for loop. This will be for let I equals 0, length of the matrix, plus plus. So then what we can write, we are setting the column to 0, right? This will be matrix of I in column. This we will set this one to 0. This is fine. Next, after we have set the entire column of the 0 to 0, we have to set the entire row of the current 0 to 0 as well. For that one, again, I'll just make use of the for loop. This will be for let I equals 0. This time, matrix I plus plus. So, matrix of, actually it was I and column. This time it will be row and I. So, we'll set this one to 0. We have set the element in the zeros row to 0. Here, this line, we have set the element in the zeros column to 0. Here, we have set the element in the zeros row to 0. So, this is it. I'll just format the document once. Let's hit the submit. I hope this works. Error. Matrix is not defined. Line number 5. I have misspelled matrix, right? Let me hit the submit again. So now, yeah, code works absolutely correct. Let's consider example 1 and try to implement same accordingly. So let's take this example, right? Initially what we'll do, we'll identify the 0th position. So this step will identify the 0th position. Means we are starting by scanning the entire matrix to find the positions of all the 0 elements initially. So in this case, there is only 1 0 at the position 1, 1. We can see here, right? This is 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 1, 0, 1, 1. Here, this will be 1, 1. There is only 1 0 here in this example, that too at 1, 1. So, second row, second column. This is nothing but the second row, second column, right? You can watch here, this one. So, we have to change the entire this row and this column to 0. So, we will store this position in the 0 position. So, 0 position will now be this one, 0 position dot push. We are pushing this one, right? Now, 0 position will be 1, 1 because we have found the 0 at the position 1, 1. This step, this is completed now. Fine. Next, the second step, we are modifying the rows and columns. Next, we iterate over the position stored in the 0 position. We'll come to these steps now. We will iterate over the position stored in the 0 position. For the 0 at 1, 1, set the entire column to 0. First, we will go with this step. We are setting the entire column to 0. This one. This one, what we will do, we'll set the entire column to 0. Now, this will be 1, 0, 1. Yeah, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1. For now, this will look like this, right? So, it will be 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1 and 1, 0, 1. So, next what we will do, we will set the entire row to 0. After setting this one column to 0, now we will set the entire row to 0. Nothing but 1, same thing as this one, right? 1, 0, 1. This will be 0, 0, 0, 1, 0 and 1 finally. Same thing as this one. So the output that we got here, I mean the solution that we got here and the output that they have given here, they both match, right? So the code works absolutely correct. This code works absolutely correct. So what we have done in simple terms, just give me a second, let me delete this. Let me remove this as well. Yeah. So what we have done here, first we are finding where the zeros are. Then we are setting the corresponding rows and columns to 0 based on these positions, right? So in simple words, any row or column containing a 0 in the original matrix is completely zeroed out in the final matrix. That we saw that one, right? By taking this example. So code works absolutely correct. So what is the time complexity and the space complexity? The time complexity would be the total time complexity. Sorry, the overall time complexity would be big of m into n, where we know that m is the number of rows and n is nothing but the number of columns. So first loop checks all the elements and the second loop modifies rows and columns. First loop we are checking where the zero is, where the zero is, where the zero is. Then second loop we are modifying the rows and columns, right, by making use of the second loop. So overall time complexity would be big of m into n. So what would be the space complexity? Space complexity would be big of k. We know that k is nothing but number of zeros found in the matrix, final matrix, right? So since it is storing their positions, nothing but the zeros position, so overall time complexity would be big of k. So let's come here. So the time complexity would be big of m into n. And what would be the space complexity? Space complexity would be big of k. Let me comment this one. This just for my reference. Let me hit the submit. So yeah, this works absolutely correct. So this is it. Thanks for watching, guys.